Did you know that we have channel memberships now? If you'd like to help support this channel, get some exclusive Kawabana emotes to use in the comments, as well as an exclusive badge by your name, click that join button now to find out more. Every bit of support really helps. Thanks, guys. These days, many people refuse to answer their phone if it rings. Some because they simply don't want to talk to people. Others because they're tired of scams. Others perhaps didn't even know it was ringing. But back in the 1990s and 2000s, an interesting urban legend sprung to life regarding missed phone calls. It went a little something like this. We are currently experiencing problems with our cell phones. Whatever you do, do not call any of the phone numbers mentioned below. These numbers are calling cell phones and hanging up after one ring. This leaves their number in your phone history, and when you call the number back, you'll hear a message similar to that of a premium phone line. Once you've heard that, you'll be charged an additional 100,000 yen, in addition to the regular phone cost. These are the numbers to avoid. Under no circumstances call these numbers back. Several people have fallen victim so far, and they might be calling from numbers other than these as well. Be careful if you see a number you don't recognize in your call history. Make sure you let your family and friends know too. Similar to the accident scammer fax legend, this particular urban legend started as a chainmail sent out in the early 2000s. Cell phones were becoming more commonplace. Most people had one, even teenagers. And with it came a whole slew of new dangers, including sudden large phone bills and potential hidden costs when calling premium phone lines. The term for the phenomenon of calling once and then hanging up is called wangiri in Japanese. Wan being the Japanese pronunciation for one, and giri being to hang up. Call once and hang up. Wangiri. This term is said to have been invented by high school girls in the late 1990s as cell phone usage spread throughout Japan. Because these teenagers didn't want to be the ones to pay for the high cost of calling a friend, they would call and hang up after one ring. This would leave their number in the phone's call history, meaning said friend would then call them back to see what was up and be the one charged for the call. Clever. Yet, it wasn't long until rumours began to circulate about these more malicious wangiri, or one-ring hang-up calls. These rumours claimed that companies were setting up premium lines that would automatically call cell phones, and then hang up, to leave their number in the call history, and the mere act of calling that number back would add a 100,000 yen charge to your phone bill. It didn't matter if you hung up after the first second or two. The moment you connected, you got the charge, and you had to pay it. Of course, no such system existed, and the National Consumer Affairs Centre was even forced to address the issue as the public began to panic over the rumours. They claimed that even if such phone lines existed, nobody would be forced to pay such exorbitant fees simply for calling back. You would be charged for the cost of the call, yes, but that's all. While such massive charges for simply calling a number didn't exist, there still is some truth to this legend. In July 2002, communications with NTT West in Osaka and Hyogo went down suddenly during the day, leaving many businesses and private residences without working phones for a brief period. The cause? A company using their services for mass wangiri calls. As it turned out, people really were setting up phone lines to con people out of money, although not to the tune of 100,000 yen. This wasn't hard to set up with a little know-how, and people were able to set up automated programs to mass call numbers and hang up after one ring, leaving their phone number in the call history. And just like the system the high school girls had come up with in the late 90s, people would inevitably call back to find out who it was and what they wanted. These premium lines would then charge the caller. The longer you stayed on the line listening to the automated message, the more you would be charged. Not quite 100,000 yen, but still a nuisance all the same. One company in Kita Ward, Osaka, rented an optical fiber line from NTT West, which gave them over 400 regular phone lines. The company then used a computer program to automatically call numbers all over the Kansai area, reportedly putting out over 3,000 calls a minute. This exceeded NTT West's capabilities at the time for that particular switchboard, and as such, NTT was forced to shut it down. Being the middle of a weekday, this caused a large disruption to many businesses and brought the wangiri problem further into the spotlight. Just like robocalls are a massive problem today, many businesses couldn't ignore missed calls on their phones just because they didn't recognize the number to make the problem go away. It could be a customer or a business contact, so the wangiri problem that was spoken of in the rumors was very real and pervasive for much of the early 2000s. People were constantly getting hit with premium charges by calling these numbers back, and numerous complaints were made to both the police and the National Consumer Affairs Centre. NTT West even suffered a second outage shortly after the first, because of yet another company renting their lines for wangiri services. And yet, neither they nor the government could stop them, because they weren't technically breaking any laws. NTT were forced to deal with these problems on a case-by-case basis, and for many years, customers and businesses were greatly annoyed by both the calls and outages. The wangiri calls are less of a problem today, and the urban legend mostly exists as a relic of old times. Most people are aware that they're not going to get a sudden 100,000 yen charge on their phone bill simply by calling a number. And awareness is now much greater that premium lines will charge you more than a regular phone call. But you have to be on the phone for quite some time if you want to rack up that 100,000 yen. And as an interesting side note, the wangiri phenomenon with high school girls apparently ended once they all caught on to what was happening, and after receiving a wangiri call, the receiver would then do the same, calling back and hanging up after one ring, thereby leaving their phone number in the original caller's phone history. The original girl would then do the same back, around and around, until they realized nobody was actually getting through because the wangiri calls kept going back and forth in a long game of return to sender. This became more inconvenient than simply making the call and taking the small charge, so the practice soon died out. Clever. But what did you guys think of this one? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.